All right, welcome back to another episode of Three Dudes, One Hoop. As always, I'm Mike. I'm joined with my boys Benny and Easy. It is January 26, 2022, and we're right around the corner from All-Star Weekend here, a couple weeks away. Uh, and it's been a crazy couple weeks for one guy in the NBA in particular, Joel Embiid. Uh, the Heat have also taken the one spot since we last recorded in the East, and there's been an announcement for a couple changes that are coming to All-Star weekends with the Rising Stars game. So the NBA tweaked the rules for that and how that event's going to work. So we'll talk about all those things. I think first things first, we got to do it. We got to talk about the Miami Heat. I know Easy's just going to be on mute basically this whole this whole conversation, but
Pretty much.
Okay, we got
uh,
this.
yeah, I think Benny and I will carry this. Nah, but the Heat are on a tear. They are number one in the Eastern Conference. They jumped over the Bulls. They jumped over the Nets, 30 and 17, 7 and 3 in their last 10. So, you know, it's been a crazy season for them. Lots of injuries. I don't think anybody really expected them to be number one. Uh, you know, even just like a month ago, with Jimmy out, with Bam out, both those guys in and out of the lineup. Hero in and out early on. Deadman having a knee injury, but we had this guy Omer Yurtseven come in, and basically, I made the joke off the podcast. But he was basically playing like a all NBA center for like 2 weeks, and that kept us afloat, along with some good play from Kyle Lowry. So I guess I'll start with you, Benny. How do you feel about the Heat today versus how you felt about them maybe coming into the season? Do you feel like uh, they've, kind of upped the chances in your mind of them actually being a legit contender and making a finals run?
Um, Today versus before the season, I picked them to be
Yeah.
in the conference finals in our
Mm.
preseason pod, but then once the injuries started coming around to Jimmy and Bam, obviously, especially, I wasn't so sure about that anymore, especially because with them being out, I kind of assumed that maybe we'll finish the season at fourth or fifth. And then at
Mm.
that point, the matchups can get a little tricky. So I wasn't so well before the season. To your question, before the season and now it's kind of the same. But like a month ago, I wasn't
Mm.
as optimistic as I am today about them. And the best telling of that is how well they've still been able to play without their key players in like Jimmy Butler, Bam, Kyle Lowry has had to miss games. Even Tyler Hero had a stretch where he had COVID. He missed, I think, a couple weeks as well. Like those four guys that I just mentioned, they've only played 12 games together throughout the entire
Wow, I
season.
didn't know that.
Actually,
Damn.
yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
ridiculous. And there's number one in the Eastern Conference. So obviously it shows that they have much better depth than we thought that they had it when the season started. There's guys having career years like we mentioned. You were talking about the All NBA center Omer Yurtseven, and but even guys like Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent as well. He's playing really well. Max Strus is coming into his own. Duncan, I'm still not sure what we're gonna get out of him. He's been playing better recently, but he's there. He's there. He's kicking it around and he's doing well. When Jimmy comes
He's
in,
on
it's
the
like,
roster.
yeah,
He's
he's
on
on
the
the
roster.
roster. He's on the roster.
Yeah,
And it's like
exactly.
when guys like Jimmy and Bam and Kyle Lowry, when they come back in, it's almost seamless, which is kind of weird because you would expect that maybe they throw off the offense a little bit. Obviously, when they're out, the ball probably moves a lot more to a whole bunch of different guys. It's more even when Jimmy comes in, when Kyle comes back, and Bam. Obviously, they're going to be holding the ball more. But either way, it's like the guys fit into their roles no matter what the situation is. And I think that's a massive credit, of course, to Eric Spoelstra, who's now my coach of the year for the season. And as long as you have a guy like that at the helm, and then the roster's obviously really good, I really like the Heat's chances of like making the conference finals and also making the NBA finals at the pace that they're going. They're, even though they have a slow pace on their offense, and they're always like, but defensively, and even then they're top 5 in offensive rating and top 10 defensive rating. They're in a really good team regardless of who's playing or not.
Yeah, really quickly, Kirk Goldsberry is a great follow on Instagram, so I want to quickly shout him out. He
Big
does every
time.
15
Big time.
games. He puts out like a efficiency landscape chart, where he kind of it's basically a XY graph where it shows where each team sits in terms of offensive efficiency,
Yeah.
defensive efficiency, and overall. So over the last chart he put out, the Heat were 4 net, 2 offense, 8 on defense, and I think that just goes to show how steadily they've been improving. And you can look at all these charts that he has on his
Yeah. It's
Instagram page and
insane.
see over the year or over the season how the Heat have climbed. So definitely a lot of improvement. I agree that a lot of it goes to Spo. Easy. I want to ask you that though. How do you feel about Spoelstra, coach of the year that Benny was talking about? I mean, it feels like pretty well deserved considering all the moving pieces that they've had on the roster this year.
Yeah, you would think. Also, Kurt Goldsberry wrote Sprawl Ball, really good book. So if you're into like the whole dynamic of NBA shooting as it's evolved and stuff like that, good book to check out. But yeah, in terms of Spoelstra, like we do the same thing every year whenever Spoelstra takes a team that should be worse, but then ends up actually being good. The problem is that this is happening at the wrong time. And in the sense for the coach of the year, I feel like coach of the year is very much an award where like it's a combination of team record and also what's going on at the end of the season. It's not like rookie of the year where like rookie of the year, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter what your record is. Were you the best one? Yeah. Okay, cool. Here's the award. So yeah, Spoelstra he should get it, honestly. Based on the circumstances that he's had to deal with injuries and stuff like that, making the most of his roster, which can't be said the same for a lot of coaches. But, you know, it's just one of those things where like, are they going to be doing this well later on in the season? Are there any teams that are going to emerge out of nowhere? Are there other teams that might have injuries like that? And then they end up still playing well. So it's like, does he deserve it? Absolutely. Will he get it based on the criteria from other years that I've seen? No, because he didn't get it the year that he basically took it. I don't even remember the record. It was like 10 and 32, something like that. And he ended up
10 and
the
31,
last game barely missed it.
Yeah,
barely
30,
missed in the last game. So like, I'm not saying he deserved it that year because his team was an A seed, but at the same time, it's like there's years where this man has deserved it and he hasn't gotten it. So why am I going to believe any differently than now? Based on what I'm saying, like, should he get it? Yes. Will he? The NBA tells me no. But
how do you guys think it would help if because the way that he's been able to manage the roster, it gives me more hope than maybe I had before that when Oladipo comes back that he'll be able to fit him in as well. Like, how do you think that could factor in as well into how the season carries out for the Heat?
That's a good, yeah. I mean, I feel like Oladipo, if anybody can get the most out of Oladipo at this point in his career, you think it'd be Miami, considering you get the most out of like the most random players. I just don't know how healthy he is. And I don't know how long it'll last. You know, you get me, if he's going to get re-injured again after 10 games, something like that. I mean, who knows? But that being said, I see no reason why he wouldn't be able to integrate. I feel like we can use him off the bench with Hero, or if you want to give him like rotational minutes where you have Hero in and out, like kind of stagger their minutes together. But I mean, if he can even be like, I mean, I feel like we say this like for the past 3 seasons, but if he can even be 50% of what he was that one year that he was like one of the top, 15, 20 guys in the league, then, it'd be pretty scary to face the Miami Heat playoffs. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, like, but do you need Oladipo at this point?
I mean, like, it wouldn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, but at the same time, what does he bring that you're not getting from your guys already?
Well, I feel like he could give you something different than what you get from like a Duncan Robinson, for example, where if Max Strus has been playing really well all season,
right?
And it's even better than Duncan in stretches.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you want to get a different look and maybe a little more defense, and you can move Jimmy to the 3, in some lineups, maybe Hero's not giving you what you want on the defensive end, something like that. But I guess what is he giving you over Hero, I guess would be the question.
Right. And like, I guess my issue is that, yeah, you can have Oladipo as a defender, but like, let's say, for example, you have lineups where you don't have Duncan in. Strus doesn't get the gravity Duncan does, and Oladipo surely does not get the gravity that either of those two get from the outside. So if you put Oladipo in those defensive lineups with Jimmy, Bam, that kind of hurts the offense in a way, because you're limiting your ability to stretch the floor. So like, yeah, defensively you might be solid, but is what you gain in the defensive end worth what you lose on the offensive end by not having guys who attract defenders from the 3-point line to open it up for Jimmy and Bam? That's like the question I have with Oladipo, only because in the recent years his shooting hasn't been the greatest, at least efficiency. I mean, it's a testament to the teams he's been on, so I'm not going to say he's a bad shooter, but like, at this point of the season of what we know about the Heat, he could add something, but what is it that he's going to add? And is it really going to help the team necessarily? It might just be the same thing. Maybe the team just kind of just stays at the same level of offense and defense with him on the floor and without him. So
well, that's the thing, right? It's what player is he going to be in this stage of his
Right.
career? You know what I mean? Is he going to try to? Is he out? I mean, what are his goals? Is he out to try to be, a prove it type of deal where he can sign a 1 year either here or elsewhere and then try to get a max deal? Is he still even that caliber of player that he can bet on himself in that way, or is he just going to try to be more of a role player? Fit in with the team? Is he a better shooter than he was the last time we saw him? I mean, those are all questions that we just won't know unless he comes back to the court, and that's not a guarantee either. Although the reports say it's coming soon, but I feel like they've been saying that for a year. So
they've been saying that literally for a year.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I know he had that second
such a
surgery.
mystery.
Well, Barry Jackson, Barry Jackson from I think he's from the Miami Herald. He's about as plugged in as it gets with Miami sports, and he did say that this is for real, that he will come back in February. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm wondering, I think that, no, I know we've heard it before. I was wondering, just kind of thinking about what you guys were talking about. I do think that Spoelstra might utilize him in a little bit of a point guard role. Just because after Lowry, I don't Hero as a point guard is not really what gets the best out of him. I don't know. And since we don't know what Oladipo is, he could very well be more evolved into that type of player that Spoelstra can work with. And if that's the case, if he's a guy that would give Lowry a rest, for example, that you would want to put in instead, then I would probably in the playoffs, I would probably have more faith. Even though you lose some shooting, I would probably have more faith in Oladipo than a Gabe Vincent or something.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think that answers your question easy for sure about what would he give us? Definitely over Gabe Vincent. I can see.
I would say, yeah, in that department, yeah. But I feel like in terms of the hustle stats, I think Gabe Vincent's going to give you more just because that's his role. He understands it more than Oladipo would. Yeah, he's part of that DNA. I hate that shit, but he is. But yeah, no, I definitely see the parallel between a Lowry and an Oladipo more than I do of an Oladipo and a Strus Duncan role, because that's just there's just no way that you can think of Oladipo as the outside threat that Duncan gravitates, at least. Not saying that he is, because clearly this season he hasn't been, but he has the gravity still somehow.
He moves a lot off the ball, so I don't know if Oladipo would do that.
So I don't know. Yeah, and I don't think Oladipo can do that. I just don't think that's in his bag. I think he's more of a spot up type, catch and shoot.
Attack the basket.
Attack the basket, dribble, drive. He's not catch and shoot, and he's not off ball movement a lot. We might not even know if he's actually into off ball movement as much as he used to be.
Yeah, if he can
with
be,
the injuries. Right. So I seen Clay do it, but that's because literally that's the Warriors offense. He's forced to do that.
Yeah. If not, he gets no money.
Right. He's not even going to get shots. He doesn't get shots if he doesn't move. So it's going to be interesting to see with Oladipo. I think it's going to be but I mean, at the end of the day, going back to the main question about are the Heat a championship contender, I'm going to echo every single thing I've said about the Heat every single time since the free agency. You don't make the moves they made unless you consider yourself a conference finals team or a championship winning team. You can't do what they have done and commit yourself to the 1-2 year window unless you know that this is the roster that can do it. And clearly we're seeing the results that, yes, this is the roster that has the potential to do that. So it's good to see, but the job isn't even close to being done. You get what I'm saying? You need to actually do this when it matters. Because we could have said the team last year was also a little bit faltering, but nobody would have thought that the Bucks would have wrecked us the way they did. So I need to see results when it matters. I need to see Bam play and elevate. I don't think he's elevated his play this year necessarily. It could be the injury that he had, and that he's going to get a slow build back. I hope he shows a little bit more, because I have not seen the growth this year that we kind of saw from Bam in the first few years. The Jimmy spot up threes needs to end. I'm done with it.
Please stop it.
Yeah.
I hate that he's actually shooting them when he doesn't need to, but then the years when he should have shot them, he didn't. And it's okay, make up your mind. I get you want to start shooting more, but be efficient. So there's still things on the team that they can improve upon, and that's the good thing that Spoelstra is going to be working with. It's that there's still room for growth. This isn't the final product of what you expect this team to be. So yeah, all signs point up right now for the Heat.
Yeah, it's looking good for sure for them. And like you guys were saying, those tough matchups in the playoffs are really gonna kind of determine their destiny if they can actually make it to the finals. But I guess moving on from them, got to move on to someone else who's really hot in the past couple of weeks, and that's Joel Embiid. So he's been on an absolute tear. The team's been on an absolute tear. They're 13-2 or 12-3, sorry, in their last 15. And he's been like incredible. He had what was it the other night, like 30 and 12 or something like that the other night, and just 50-point games, 40-point games,
He's
all in the
possessed right
past
now.
few days. It's ridiculous. So definitely have to rescind my my take of him being what did I have him at 13 All NBA? Yeah, that was ridiculous. He's definitely up there with Jokic for first team contention. So forget that whole. We're gonna need our editor, which we don't have one, but we're gonna need one to go back and basically just like censor my entire take. But that being said, I apologize, Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid listened to our podcast actually and just fucking went off, because since then he's been like ridiculous. But I did have him as my preseason MVP though, so don't get too mad at me, Joel. But
I'm cool with
in all
the you. I'm
seriousness,
cool with the you from
yeah.
like September. I don't know if I'm cool with the you from a
Yeah.
week ago
The
though.
me from January so far is slacking. But what are you guys seeing from Joel Embiid and the Sixers in general? Obviously, the Ben Simmons whole thing looms, but
We're done with that.
we're done with that. But I guess, how do you guys feel about Embiid and just the Sixers in general? I guess I'll go to you.
I feel so bad for Joel Embiid.
Yeah,
First
dude,
off,
I was
first
literally
off,
thinking the same thing.
First off, I feel so bad for him because not only is he doing this himself, he's doing this with Tobias Harris as a teammate. And I can't imagine Tobias Harris being the second highest player on your team and you're expected to win playoff games.
That's tough.
So that's number one. So number one, props to you, Joel Embiid. You're making things happen. Two, Tobias Harris is a really nice guy. No heat on him. He's just a victim of that thing of where like big contracts are like, like they make you look much worse than what you really are. It's just like an over evaluation of your talent. Not saying Tobias Harris is a bad player, but he's not a $38 million a year player. But going back to Joel Embiid and what he's doing, he's doing what we said he needed to do to be considered for MVP. He's elevated his game to another level. His team is winning as a product of that. It's not just that he's getting these stats and they're empty. He is a winning player. He's making the moves. He's finally showing that sense of urgency that you expect from a player that hasn't won anything yet, where like they're kind of fed up with the mindset of my team can't get it done and I'm the best player on this team. You can start seeing that fade away a little bit. It's great to see. It's great to see a center do as well as he's doing. I know we have Jokic, but he's just like a different kind of a center. It's more of like an attack in the paint type. And a defensive menace, honestly. So yeah, it's just really great to see that he's actually taking this next step. Hopefully he's able to keep it up. So he could even be considered for MVP, because even with this stretch, he's still third in the MVP race. So it's like, what else can this man do other than what he's doing right now? Like, I almost feel like this is like I'm not saying the talent level is the same, but it's like Allen Iverson with Philly back when he made the NBA finals. It's like, what else does Joel Embiid have? Like, he has guys that can shoot, but like, you're telling me you're going to rely on Shake Milton, Tyrese Maxey every night? You're telling me you're like, I can rely on Seth Curry in the playoffs, but every game he's going to get me 20? I don't think so. And then Tobias Harris is always, he does well one game and does horrible 3 games. So it's like, gosh, I really hope they work on a deal to get this man Halliburton, Fox. I don't know who, but get this man another guard, because
they really need another guard. I totally agree, because I mean, Tyrese Maxey has been really good.
Yeah,
I mean, considering I guess his expectations for his career and where he would be, but they need somebody else, man.
Yeah, like it can't just be Curry and Maxey being the offensive load for Joel Embiid when Tobias Harris is struggling. And if you're gonna do anything, you might want to get Halliburton more than Fox, only because Halliburton does the other things on the court that you need him to do. I mean, getting Fox would be great in terms of like a playmaking.
I think it'll be easier to get him
right
over, Halliburton.
I think it'll be easier at this point with the contract that Fox has, and to trade it would be a lot easier. You would have to probably trade Fox.
For Ben.
Yeah, you would have to do that along with Tristan Thompson, but he's my favorite player, so I digress from here. I leave this to Benny now.
Benny, like, you said that you also feel sorry for Joel Embiid. I
Yeah,
heard
dude.
some comments from Daryl Morey about how Ben Simmons is basically like the perfect player for the team and exactly what they're missing. So it still feels like Daryl's first option is to have Ben over anybody else. Do you feel the same way? I mean, how do you fix this for Joel Embiid?
It almost feels that there is some similarities to the deal that Joel Embiid is getting in Philly to what Luka Doncic is getting in Dallas. And as far as like the help he's getting from roster construction. But aside from that, like from what I see from this guy, like what Easy said a bunch of great points, and like the big one being that he's a winning player. And since December 16th, he's averaging 34 points a game. Obviously, he gets a bunch of rebounds, so he's over 10 for that as well. And he's making things happen. They're 13-5 in the last month and a week and a half, couple of weeks or whatever. 34 points a game, and he's carrying this team in all honesty because, like Easy was saying, I'm not gonna trust Tyrese Maxey and these guys. Like Seth Curry's fine in the playoffs, but now he's probably like okay. And it's even then in the playoffs, he's gonna have to do this in the playoffs to have a chance of even winning the first round. Because I don't know in the standings right now, they would have to play Brooklyn. Like he's gonna have to put up numbers like this to beat Brooklyn, if not more so, right? And
Look
he's
what
gonna have to
Giannis had to
expect
do
them.
last year just to
Exactly.
beat them in Game 7, and that was by like a KD foot, like an inch
Exactly.
of his foot.
Shoe size. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if like Daryl Morey's saying that Joel Embiid is perfect for this roster, I guess, because who else is going to take any load off Joel Embiid? Joel Embiid is going to
Yeah, I think you
obviously
mean Ben
average.
Simmons. Yeah.
Obviously, Joel Embiid is going to average 34 points a game on this team because who else is going to average even like 15? Like he has to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they want to get, and mind you, this guy, well, not mind you, we all know this. It's very recent history that this guy has had a lot of injury problems. So we don't know if this is even how long this is even gonna last. Like
Right.
Daryl Morey, Philadelphia could be wasting an all-time talent if they
Yeah.
don't get him help, or he doesn't need to be doing 34 points a game. He can do this in the playoffs. We've seen him do it.
Yeah.
But you can't expect him to do this for an entire regular season and then the playoffs.
Well, that's the gamble, right? It's like they're playing chicken with Ben Simmons. In the meantime, Joel Embiid is like having this, all-time season, and it
This is a
may just go to
historic run that he's
waste.
putting up.
Yeah,
They're doing
like
it.
you guys were
Yeah.
saying, I can see them beating Brooklyn, but there's no way they get past, whoever they play in the second round if they're.
I mean, and just going back to the point, they're doing what every team does when they have a superstar, which is what they do with Luka too. It's that they think they're going to be that good forever, and they think that they're always going to want to be there. And you're prioritizing Ben Simmons again in his career, even when he's not even playing for you. You're still prioritizing Ben Simmons over what you have in front of you. Imagine going up to Joel Embiid and being like, you know what? We know that you're really balling out. You're really putting up MVP numbers this year. We have a really good chance with this team. But you know what? In order to maximize our future potential, now that we're going to hit your 6th or 7th year in the NBA, what we're going to do now is we're going to wait to the offseason to trade Ben Simmons, and then we'll be ready next year. No, you're doing well now. Ben Simmons' value isn't going to get any higher. Clearly from June to now, it hasn't gone any higher. It's gone lower, and it's not going to get higher in the offseason. So like, it just frustrates me that we see these star players and teams just don't know when it's time to like go all in. Like, I know that it sucks that you're going to go all in at the same time as Brooklyn, at the same time as Chicago, at the same time as the Heat, but you're not going to get this Joel Embiid forever, whether it's talent wise or whether it's contract wise. Once his contract's up, if there is no change in his playoff progression in terms of where he ends, he's leaving. This is the last contract Joel Embiid has on the Sixers, unless they can prove they can actually win with him. So with that in mind, you would think you would do as much as possible in the years that you still have him to show that you have a willingness to try to win. It's what the Milwaukee Bucks did to get Giannis back. They got Drew Holiday. They committed. They sent all those picks away. They're like, you know what? Drew Holiday's the right guy. Maybe he's not the same value as the picks that we think, but he's the right guy. And Giannis saw that, and he was like, you know what? Let me extend then. So he extended. That I haven't seen the Sixers offer that same courtesy to Joel. And what has Joel done other than be the best player he can be for this team? It's super frustrating. I'm getting on a tangent now, but I'm done.
No, but you're totally right. I mean, I think that's why I find Daryl Morey's comments to be so confusing, because the leverage that Ben Simmons has is really like much greater than the Sixers organization, because if you do not move him, it may cost you a championship this season. and Daryl's saying Daryl's saying that Ben Simmons is a perfect player for the team. It's basically giving all the cards to Ben Simmons. Like, yeah, if you're not going to be here and be a part of the team, then we basically can't win a championship. And if we can't trade you, we basically can't win a championship. So Ben Simmons gets to decide exactly what he wants to do, which is to leave and choose where he wants to go. And his value keeps decreasing every single day because, again, there's, a couple months left in the regular season. If you're a team,
trade deadline is in a month.
Trade deadline's coming up. These calls are gonna start coming with less and less, and enticing deals for the Sixers. So, very confusing comments from Daryl about Ben Simmons in that regard.
And he's always been a guy at least from his history in Houston. He's always been a go for it guy. He's always been a guy to want to maximize his stars, especially when he had James Harden on the roster. Whether it was going for Dwight Howard and then later it was Chris Paul, then Russell Westbrook as like a last ditch. He's always been a guy to be willing to risk the future, I guess, of the franchise for the immediate chance to win a ring. Yeah. And if like there have been a couple like trade reports that they turned down. Say they might have turned down. Yeah, we don't know 100% if it's true, but like if they are true, then it's like, what are you waiting for? Because the offers are only going to get worse, to your point, Mike.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And even just going back, like I said, the trade deadline's in a month. No, it's February 10th.
That's
so like
3 weeks from now.
It's not even 3 weeks. It's like a week and a half.
Weeks.
Like literally. Yeah. So it's like, like if I'm Joel Embiid, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what, man? Like I know this is like first year, second. I don't know, first year. I think it's his first year, right, with the team.
For Morey,
yeah. I know it's his first year with the team. I know he's trying to like build future flexibility so he can keep his job. Like I get that, but at some point when you're the player and you see this happening, when's enough? Like just because it's your first year doesn't mean it's my first year. like come on. And like, what does it say about Daryl Morey and his faith in Doc Rivers as a coach if you're not willing to get the pieces he needs to try to put a product out there that's going to win? Like what you're doing right now is telling your team you think that they're good enough to play in the playoffs, but you're saying that it's up to Ben Simmons to make them a championship team, and that's what they need. What you're saying at that point is that this team isn't capable of winning unless this guy plays. And then you're saying that, but the past few years with Ben Simmons has proven that that's not enough to win a championship. So like, you're saying this, but it's not really true either. So do I trust you as a GM to make the right move? No, because you haven't made a move. You haven't made the one move that everyone would have made by now. And I don't care if by the end of the season, James Harden decides, you know what, I want to go to Philly, and they agree on a sign and trade, and they trade Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons at the end of the season. Now you're putting your stock in James Harden and Joel Embiid for a whole other year. That means you're banking on the fact that this guy's going to be healthy for a year, that Joel Embiid is going to do the same thing he's doing now. And then you're banking on James Harden, who hasn't exactly been the greatest playoff player either.
Best teammate, yeah.
So, you could say you want to get the maximum value from the guy you're trying to trade, but at what cost? Like, it's just ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, I think there's no question either way if they bring back Ben or trade him. If they do win a championship or do any kind of winning in the next year or two, it'll be because of Embiid's improvement and just his dominance. And it's going to be fun to watch. I think he'll probably get some MVP
It'll be a lot
votes.
of fun to watch for the other fans to see
Philly get wrecked, but I mean, Embiid's been on an absolute tear, and it's a damn shame that he doesn't have a running mate that at least somewhat on his level to try and win. So I guess we'll keep going along here. Any other thoughts on Embiid and the 76ers? All right, then. RIP, my boy.
Get good. I don't know. Like, help him out. Help him out.
You're a first teamer, Embiid. I don't care what anyone says. All right. So I guess with that being said, speaking of the cream of the crop, All-Star Weekend is coming up. February 10th is the All-Star Draft. February 18th to the 20th is the weekend. So we're about 3 weeks out, 3.5.
Yeah.
And the NBA just yesterday, 2 days ago, made an announcement about some changes that are coming to one of the events, the Rising Stars game. So I'll read just what the breakdown's going to be. So in the past, it's been, I think last year was Team World versus Team USA, essentially. So it was international players versus obviously domestic players. And before that, it was rookies versus sophomore players. But now, so they're kind of going back to that rookie sophomore format, but it's going to be a little different. So they're going to select 28 players. They're going to select 12 NBA rookies and 12 sophomores. The other 4 players are going to be NBA G League Ignite players. So that's one thing that's going to be really interesting to see. These are basically high school graduates or just guys who decided not to go to college and make their way to the G League Ignite team that are going to be in this event. And so it's going to be a tournament style event with 4 teams of 7 players each. So each team will have 1 player from that Ignite squad, and then the coaches of each of those teams are going to be able to draft the remaining players to fill out the roster. And I was looking at this today too. So the coach is going to be a member of the NBA 75 team. So that list that they put out before the year started of the top 75 players of all time, they're going to get 4 people from that list and make them coaches for the game. So I don't think they've announced that yet, but that would be interesting to see who they announce. I imagine it'll be some of the older guys who are retired. And so one other thing that they're going to do differently is that they're going to play the game to a final target score. So similar to what they did with the normal All-Star game, where at the fourth quarter it's like the first team to score. I forget how many points it was. It was like
24, I think, right?
24, yeah, in honor of Kobe or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So in this game, or in this tournament, it's going to be a race to 75. So games 1 and 2 will be played until a team reaches 50 points, and then the championship game will be played until a team reaches 25 points. Which makes sense because obviously those guys will be playing 2 games. You don't want to wear them out. So I think that's a pretty cool change. I'm looking forward to like a tournament style. It's kind of evocative of like March Madness type of style, which is, a few weeks before actual March Madness begins. So I think that's pretty cool. I guess, what are your thoughts on the changes? Do you think it's better than what it's been in the past?
Easy.
Many, I don't, yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know if you want to go first. I go first. I got a lot to say about All-Star Weekend. But
yeah, go for it. I really don't.
Yeah.
like
So
it,
yeah. So I would have never watched this game unless
exactly.
they did this.
That's what I was gonna say. Exactly.
Like
Great
why?
point.
Why would I
Yep.
care about watching a bunch of rookies and sophomores run up the score to 170? Like, great, wow, sick. No defense, awesome. But like, at least with like the target score thing, players are going to be out there just trying to get to the score. Like, there's going to be some sort of objective. Yeah, it's going to be offensive driven, and like, defense is probably not going to be played, but it's not going to be played for an hour, like. So it's cool to see that it's going to be tournament style too. We could see some of those young guys. We could see some NBA legends. It's always nice to see, NBA alums getting involved and anything going on with the league. So it's going to be cool to see some faces out there, whether it be like Shaq or, maybe some of the older guys, like you said. I think that what they need to do is start getting really creative with every event. So this is cool to see with this one, but hopefully this is like the beginning bridge to other things happening. For example, like the slam dunk contest, something needs to happen there. Like every 5 years we get one that's like insane, but then we'll get like other ones where like we don't even know the names of the contestants. Like Jeremy Evans won a dunk contest, and that guy maybe played like 3 NBA games that season. Like, what are we doing? We had what was last year was awful. Last year was like 3 guys, and it was like Cassius Stanley and two other guys. Like, what? Like if those are the guys that we're gonna be getting for dunk contests, you know what? Get me some random guys that literally do dunking as like a profession, like for YouTube, and put them in the dunk contest. Like literally, I just want to see some cool dunks. Is it cooler to see it from NBA players? Yeah, absolutely. But if you're gonna give me Cassius Stanley, come on, like tough. Be better. And then like, I know they've tricked around with the 3-point contest, but like the whole rack being the money ball kind of just like defeats the purpose of the whole contest. Like if a player's picking his favorite zone to get extra points in, and they make all the shots, like that kind of defeats the purpose of the entire 4 other racks that they shot. You're also just valuing one spot of the 3-point line instead of all of them. So just go back to the old format, 4 regular ones, 1 money ball in each rack. Simple way to fix that also. And then in terms of the All-Star game, they do the target score now. So that's pretty good. Like they do it by quarter. I guess from an optics standpoint, let them wear their team's jersey.
The ones they come up with are awful.
Yeah,
like the ones from this year are awful. And like not even just that, like why can't they just wear the team jersey that they wear, like
Yeah,
represent
they can't
your
even wear
team.
like the city edition jersey or something like that. If you
Right,
wanna
like
make it,
literally,
you know,
or like
different.
just wear like a retro jersey. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
make it fun. Like you see the games from the 2000s, like you see these guys in these jerseys, and you're like, man, that's so sick. Like they're all repping their team. You know, you could see like the culmination of their work for their team. And in the All-Star game, you don't even see that. Like what? Like it's the red and blue, cool, East versus West, but like we're not really doing that anymore because we have a draft. So like if there's any time to do the jersey, it's now.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like the games actually become more about like the actual draft that they do on TNT
Yeah.
than the game itself. Like that's more interesting than the actual
Yeah.
game. And so like they don't even give a shit about, you know, what it means to be an all-star or anything like that.
Right. Like it's just
Yeah.
the title. And like if you're out there trying to, if this game is for fun and you want them to represent their teams and like they should be honored to do that and stuff like that, let them wear the team jersey. I don't get why you're telling me that the players can't figure out who their teammates are that day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Like really, they did it in the 90s, they did it in the 80s, they did it in
Yeah.
the 2000s. Why can't they do it now? Like get out of here, make it fun, make it nice to watch.
Yeah.
Like instead of the abomination that we have this year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I wonder if that's more like I don't know, like a contractual thing where like I think it's Jordan that's making it for this year. I think that maybe it's like within a contract
Could
that the
be.
NBA has with Jordan that, you know, they get to make the All-Star jerseys or whatever.
anything
But I
to
would
make more
prefer it be
money,
like what
yeah.
Easy said. Yeah.
Mhm.
Where you just
So
wear the
whack.
jerseys. Like that's how it used to be. You used to wear just your actual
Well,
jerseys.
gosh, I mean, remember when it was East versus West and not like just free for all of whoever?
Yeah.
The draft's fun though. I will say I do like
No, I
the
like
idea of the
drafting,
draft
yeah.
because like it avoids like the whole like conference. One conference is significantly better than the other situation.
Oh,
You know,
this year,
like-
I guess you know, I mean, this year would be pretty even. I feel
Right, but like for example, like in the West,
Yeah.
for centers, what am I gonna do? Have three
got
All-Stars, Rudy
Jokic.
Gobert, Jokic, and Karl Anthony Towns? Like I'm gonna have three centers on my roster. But then in the East, I'm gonna have Joel Embiid and what?
Bam,
Stop it. He hasn't
the,
played
the,
enough.
the starting center, the starting center for the best team in the East. I'm just
Isn't it Yurtsevin?
Yurtsevin
that's
would
right.
be the
How do you-
backup.
how do you fit-
Deadman would be third.
How do you fit
Yeah.
Bam, Dedman, and Yurtsevin in the All-Star team?
Yeah, plus Embiid, I
OP.
don't know. Embiid's gonna have to go
Yeah.
14 there. Yeah.
Bam's gonna have to learn how to shoot. Oh no.
That's OP,
Oh
that's OP.
gosh. No, yeah, but no, I agree though. I mean, I feel like they should go back to. There's been a lot of changes to the All-Star game. Not all of them
Yeah.
good, but I do like what you were saying before, though, how they have the target score.
Yeah.
The draft is a lot more fun than just East versus West, and you get like this fun little TNT show like a day before or whatever. So I guess we'll see. I think last I saw, LeBron was still the leading vote getter, so I guess he's just gonna be captain again and do the draft again. And I feel every time they've done draft, LeBron has been a captain, right? Like
Yeah,
Probably.
pretty
yeah.
much.
yeah, it's never not been LeBron. So
No.
we'll see if we get a new captain in there or not. Probably
Where
not.
LeBron's gonna be drafting teams for the rest of his life. Lit GM has been a
Literally.
decade long. Like
He's gonna draft his own son.
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
how
at this rate. At this
Yeah.
rate, Bronny's gonna be on his team, or Bronny's gonna be picking against his dad. Like
Yeah, honestly, yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
LeBron's just gonna be like,
Uh,
I'm gonna keep playing till my son is the All-Star captain.
My son is
Like,
the guy. He's gonna be 58 years old.
It's gonna be a skeleton.
he's gonna be the coach for the Rising Stars game when his son's playing.
Still won't be as old as Tom Brady. But
Oh, man.
yeah, so pretty interesting changes. Looking forward to watching the Rising Stars games, like you guys were saying. I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. So
Yeah.
and also I guess I'm gonna have to read up on the Ignite roster to see who the hell is gonna be.
Last year it would have been a lot of
It's-
fun because we had,
Well, you would
had
have
Jalen Green,
Kuminga, right?
Kaminga,
Yeah.
Tyshawn
Mhm.
Nix. So we would have
Yeah.
had some interesting names there. But this year I'm not too familiar with the G League Ignite team.
Well, speaking
I
of
was last year.
Kaminga, easy. I mean, Kaminga's been kind of
Yeah, it's really easy to dunk it. It's been really easy to play him and dunk on, you know, the 15th guy on the bench when the Warriors are up by 40 against the Mavericks. So, I mean, yeah, I'm glad he's playing well, but he also scored like 13 of those points in the fourth quarter against.
Well, didn't he have
the
a game this year where he scored like 30? Like
I'm also pretty sure that Curry, Thompson, and Draymond were all not playing that game.
Well, hey, I mean, you know, not everybody can score 30. I'm just saying. I told you about Kaminga.
Yeah, he's also averaging 6
You
points a
know.
game. So, you know, tell me about
Well,
it.
Damn, bro, we're sorry you don't like him.
he's coming on, bro. It's like Yurtseven's probably is averaging probably like 6 and 6 rebounds, but you know, he had 2 weeks where he was like Will Chamberlain. So, but But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any other closing thoughts on the past, I guess, week or so of
I guess
NBA
to
action?
close us out,
Yeah.
I kind of just like thinking like we're at the mid. We could say we're at the midway point,
Yeah, this is
right? Like
officially.
we can say we're at the midway.
Yeah.
How do you think? Like, what's your biggest like? I guess like take right now that we haven't shared. Like, what's your like? Like, what do you think is going to happen based on what we've seen so far that maybe we wouldn't have like expected necessarily? Just what's your take? Like, where do you see the season going? Like, what teams do you think are still threats? Like, just like a summary, quick thing,
Well, I'll say the West has definitely been more of a shakeup than I think anybody thought it would be. And seeing the Grizzlies up there, the Suns, I mean, we felt like we all felt that the Suns would be, would have a good year. But obviously the Warriors being where they are is completely unexpected. And I'm really excited to see how that playoff picture forms. I feel like the Grizzlies are there to stay. I don't think they're going to fall off and, become a 6th or 7th seed. So I think playoffs in the West are going to be probably more interesting than in the East, just because I'm not sure. I'm skeptical of Chicago. I'll say that.
That's
I'm
what I was gonna
skeptical.
say.
Okay, yeah, you go
That
for
is
it
what
then,
I was
because I am a little skeptical too.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
No, go for it. Yeah, no, go. Give the take. Yeah.
No, it was literally that. Is that I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago starts to fall off a little bit. I'm not saying they're gonna go to like 6 or something, but maybe to like 4, 3 or 4. Like I can see Milwaukee
I can see that.
Brooklyn start to catch up.
I mean,
more.
it's expected with the injuries they have.
Exactly, the injuries they have, and then also they've never been as deep as the other teams that they're competing with for the top seed.
And when push comes to shoves in the playoffs, if they're going up against the Nets or they're going up against Milwaukee or even the Heat, I just don't think they're going to win that series. I think they'll probably, and I think they're slated to play, I guess, the higher seed of the tournament, the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
So it'd be either like Charlotte, Toronto. They'll probably beat those, or Boston or Washington. They'll beat that team for sure, whoever it is. But if they play Philadelphia in the second round, could we see an upset? Would that be surprising to anybody?
Is that an upset?
Well, again,
it is. Technically, it's Doc Rivers. Yeah, it's an upset.
It's an upset.
Yeah, it's an upset. It's Doc Rivers.
So yeah, definitely. I guess that would be my hottest take. But
yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah. So I'll throw it to you, Easy. What's your?
I still have a slight belief in Chicago, just because I know their guards are very important. So
you don't want to give up on Lonzo. I get you.
I'm not giving up on Caruso, bro. I'm not giving up on that team. The Caruso. But yeah, no. I mean, I guess my biggest takeaway is that the first round isn't going to matter. The playoffs start in the conference semis. Like usually in round 1, you might find like an upset here or there. I think we're at this point right now where we can honestly say there's only 8 teams that have a chance.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a lot, isn't it?
I mean, like
in hindsight, top 4 in each conference.
Yeah, I mean, like top 4 in each conference. Like I can't see, for example, like I don't see Utah winning. So like I can bring my list down like me, but like from a general perspective, there's 8 teams left. There's no like, to me, Phillies doesn't make noise. Philly's not going to make noise. I can say that now with confidence. They're doing great recently, but I know they're not going to do it in the playoffs. I have no faith in Utah, so I can bring my list down to 7.
You like Memphis?
I love Memphis.
I would have picked them to come out of the West, but yeah, to your point,
you know my take on Memphis, but
yeah.
I think Memphis is the kryptonite for the Warriors, but that's just my take.
I mean, they
could be.
They have their number every year. I'm sick of it, but they haven't proved me otherwise. So I mean, it's to me it's 7 teams, but for everyone else it's 8.
Well, and I don't think either LA team is gonna surprise us. All of a sudden with the late surge.
I don't think anyone's counting them though for the finals.
No one's counting the late. I mean, like if the Lakers pull it off, we won't be shocked. We won't be shocked.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked.
I'm saying like in a sense, like LeBron turning it up in the playoffs. If LeBron dominates and ends up winning series, like I'm not going to be like, oh man, I can't believe LeBron did this and the Lakers are in the second round. I'm not going to react like that.
Yeah.
But just think about who he'd have to play.
Like a huge accomplishment. It would be like a huge accomplishment.
He'd have to be like Phoenix or Golden State.
Right. But let's say, for example, right. But let's say they get the 6th seed and they play Memphis. You're telling me they can't?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah, then sure. But
right, and then at that point, who do they play after that? They're 3rd seed, so they play 2 or 7. So then they play the Warriors.
Playoff.
Then they might get bounced. They might get bounced there.
But
But still.
even against the Grizzlies, they'd be an underdog. I mean,
They'd be an underdog, but like,
yeah.
I don't know. With
I mean,
AD,
it's
it's
because of the
different.
inexperience of Memphis and all that, of course,
Right. And then you
give
need
an
John
edge to
Morant to
LeBron with
actually
that.
keep playing
Yeah.
the way he's playing, which I think he
exactly.
will.
And Brooks and
right.
you know,
And
all those
Desmond
other
Bain
guys,
being the
Melton,
next Klay
Desmond
Thompson.
Bain. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, this season's just really interesting so far. It's one of those seasons where like we thought that we never get to this point in the NBA where we're like, which team is gonna win? Like, it's not 2 teams anymore. It's like, oh, we have 8. Like, we can actually, like, you know, watch basketball and think, oh, this team has a chance.
Yeah.
So at the same time that I'm saying, like, there's only 8 teams. When was the last time we said there's only 8 teams? Back then we would have said there's only 2 teams. Yeah. So like, it's just really cool to see. Like, I don't know how long it's gonna last. I hope it lasts, but let's enjoy it while it's around because it may not be here forever.
Yeah, you know, the ebb and flows of the season. You always have a hot starter. In this case, it was Chicago that got off to a crazy start.
Washington.
Warriors as well.
I think you're talking about Washington.
Washington too, but they've cooled off significantly. And as I think we get, you know, post All-Star, we'll get some clarity, both in the MVP race, in All NBA, of course, and with our contenders. I'm sure some of these teams will have injuries. You know, COVID's always a looming threat, so who knows how the end of the year is going to look out. But post All-Star, 3 Dudes One Hoop podcast, you know, we'll be right along with you with that journey. I think next week we'll probably do our All-Star selections.
Yeah, probably.
So, you know, look out for that. We'll, you know, we have more content coming.
You're muted right now.
You're muted right now, buddy. I think you're about to sign us off and you got that mute on.
I had my headset unplugged. That's why. No, yeah, I was just saying, no, you know, we have more content coming as we approach All-Star. Trade deadline is coming up, like Easy was saying earlier.
Big
so time. Watch out. Keep plugged into 3 Dudes One Hoop podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. And yeah, I think that does it for us today. I'm Mike. And we'll see you on the next one. All right.